And now it's time for the latest exciting episode of Doz's Television Workshop.
Hello and welcome back to Doz's Television Workshop, where today we're going to be putting the finishing touches to our little 13-inch Panasonic. Okay, so last time we installed our Chinese replacement chassis, we've got a lot of guff that we need to get rid of. This is the degauss connector here. Now half of this isn't being used, so I'm thinking, let's see if I can cut it in half and then sack off the bit I'm not using. So the blue and the green, I believe, are the degauss coils. Yes, they are. So I'm going to try and attempt to just cut this connector in half if I can, just to sack off what I'm not using. I don't want to leave it full of redundant stuff, really. I'm going to retain, that worked well. I'm going to retain certain parts of it. I'll remove that sleeve because we don't need that. And that red and white wire seem to go up there and feed a mains transformer for some sort of purpose. Quite sure what. There we go. All right. I'm going to remove that mains transformer. It's really not required. There we go. Okay, so that is going to be redundant. That we can retain as our degauss because, well, it works brilliantly. Lucky that plug is just the right thing. I wonder actually if the other half of that plug will work RAC. No, the pitch is different. That's a shame. Never mind. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is sort of remove as much as I can stuff that's up there. So yeah, let's do that. That appears to want to remove a bracket there. I may retain this mains input sort of filter board. The main switch is there, comes up on a loom there and goes in there. I'm just going to remove that connector there, that wire wrap, sorry, wire tie. I'm going to cut it. There we go. Ah, okay, we have action in the movement department. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna want to retain a lot of that, aren't I? This is our mains filter here. And yeah, it appears to be also supplying power up here somewhere. Oh, I wonder if that's 33 volts for our tuner, maybe. It's actually a bridge rectifier in there as well. How odd. That's okay. So if there's a mains output from that board, which you'd think there would be, so mains is coming in on these two connectors here. There's a fuse. May as well retain that, mightn't we? There's some snubbing components, a filter. That's our switch. There's live and neutral. Live and neutral coming out of the other side. And going off over to here. So what's that doing? Is there mains back to the set anywhere? That might be the rectifier. In fact, there's the degaussing positor. Okay. Right. What I actually want to do then, isn't it, is jump at those two pins, which is the output. I'm going to want to remove that bridge rectifier, those two back-to-back diodes there. Take the mains from there down to the chassis. Okay. I'm going to retain the channel buttons. They're never going to work, but I want to retain the aesthetics. So, yeah, I suspect, and there's the door. Please bear with me. Always nice to see my neighbour, Steve. Right, where were we? Mains. So, yeah, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to inch this panel out. What's that connector there? That appears to be, it's a connector that is on the sort of front door of the tuning door. I suspect that works the AFC, so we can lose that. So I'm just going to unscrew that and remove it. Where did I put the screwdriver? There it is. So you're not sure you can see in there very well, but it's a bit dark and dingy in there. Right, let's just remove that. Is it a little switch? Yeah, it's the original AFC switch, so that is going to be redundant. Just to make my life easier, I'm just going to cut it off for now. So that would have been used originally to lock. Oh, it's got multi-positions. Interesting. I'll have a look at that in a minute just to sate my curiosity. Right, what else we got in here? That there is all going to the front panel controls. So that can all be unplugged or disconnected. There is no plug on any of that. Everything else was socketed, wasn't it? So I'm just going to get in there with a snips and cut it all out. Sadly, I'm not going to be able to re-implement the front panel controls really without going mad. And I see there was one guy, American guy, who was doing a little 13-inch Sony set that had a very damaged chassis. I suspect it's got those awful GCS transistors in as well. But he didn't want to repair that, and he rebuilt it with an LCD, but he managed to get a 4x3 one that was a perfect fit. And he made all the controls work by interfacing to the LCD controller with an Arduino. Brilliant job. And I have to say, if you gave it a passing glance, you wouldn't know it wasn't a CRT. Very good indeed. Right, let's remove these little plastic rivets here. Just remove that shield. There's one. There's another. Where's the third? Down there. Snick that off. There we go. Always a fourth. Always a fourth. Can I take that out from behind? Probably. With a gentle nip. There we are. Push him through. Come on. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to chew my way through all this wiring, I think, and just lose it. Sacrilege, I know, but needs must. So it's all of this, all of the wiring. It is all of the wiring. That's interesting. I bet that's the original spot suppression. They return it to one half of the mains to stop the tube giving a spot as it goes off. But I shan't be needing any of this. So yeah, let's just prune away. I may be able to reuse one of those connectors to come back off the second, the power supply back into the AC input on the set. That would make a neat solution because we'd have another plug then, wouldn't we? What's this doing up here? We've got a little mains transformer. That didn't fit in there, did it? No, okay. So I think we can lose all this off. That is going to the audio, which has got to come out anyway. Right. I don't honestly know what that transformer is doing. Oh, it's not a... Surely that's not... Because the original chassis was running half mains, so it would the ground wasn't, so you can't add on accessories, and the aerial has a special isolator on it. But I notice that it has a headphone socket on the front of this set, so obviously if you plugged a set of headphones in, you'd have half rectified mains on your headphones. Very dangerous. So there must be a form of isolation in there. Oh, just looking at the headphone panel, actually, there is a transformer on there, so it's got an audio transformer in it. So quite what this thing up here is doing, I have no idea. Let's snip it out anyway. Where's that going? Yeah, that's all going down there. That can go for now. In fact, if I cut through that there, I may be able to reuse the wires to the speaker, which would be nice. Okay, and we've got those, I think, are to the speaker. That is then feeding this transformer. That's weird. Don't know what they were thinking there. Never will now. We shall snip that off this piece of tag board. In fact, let's just take that tag board out completely. Useful little transformer in there. We'll salvage that, shall we? I shall put it in my box of transformers. In fact, I think it's a cupboard of transformers. Because you never know. You might need a little transformer for doing something. It's marked up primary and secondary. We don't know what the voltages are, but we can soon work them out. So there's a spare screw. And there you go. Little mains transformer for something. Interesting. One for that parts bin. I'm going to lose that tag strip because that is now utterly redundant. It's got a capacitor on it for some reason, some sort of suppression arrangement. Right. Okay, we are making progress. So I need to disconnect anything from pins 2 and 1 here. Yeah. So let's pop my soldering iron on. Let's just desolder the degauss thermistor, because some of those are getting a bit difficult to find these days. And if you've got a set that needs one, this one's got a 2-pin. This one's got a 2-pin as well. Some of them have 3-pin types, the Phillips, etc. Yeah, there we go. We'll put that to one side. Put that in a drawer of spare parts. We've got some oddball diodes here. Obviously mains rated, but there's 2 back-to-back diodes in each package. It's forming a bridge rack, so that can come out. If I thought about this, that's the primary side of a switch, that's the secondary side. I could just drop that straight into there, couldn't I? Yeah, why don't we just do that? So, primary side through the filter, so it's that pin, it's the blue and the red there that are our secondary contacts. Just snip that like I did the other one. So our primary side was that side, our unswitched side. Yep, and that only then feeds to the filter, so that can go back in there. And then, am I going to get lucky? No, the pin spacing's different. Okay, look, let's not sweat the small stuff. Let's cut this piece in half, and then that'll fit on there. And it's the right pitch of pins, so that does make an easier job of it. Ah, would you look at that? That's just super easy, isn't it? Let's just fetch those around the other way. There we go. And it's a proper rated connector as well. Right. Well, that's made a bit of a difference. What have we got left to do? I'm not sure I'm going to mount this front panel anywhere. I'm just going to rely on the remote. So what I do need is somewhere I can see daylight to fit the remote receiver, which is here. just untangle this bit of wiring. I'm just going to unplug the front panel because I'm not going to use it. It'll be a pain if anybody ever loses the remote, won't it? I'll tell you what, I'll put that front panel in a bag inside, then if ever I need it, I've got it, haven't I? Can we see through anywhere? We've got the channel change, but I want to retain that really. We may have to make an incision. Oh, that's interesting. I'll turn the set round in a minute and we'll have a look at that, because that may be our solution. Okay, right. So that can now slot back in there. We'll reattach the bracket. There is a tiny little sub-miniature mains fuse on the board, the Chinese board, but there's a 20mm fuse on this board, which would be a far better thing. So I'm going to retain both because, you know, why shouldn't we? So I've retained the original mains filtration, which I don't know what the filtration is on this board. Well, we've got a cap and an inductor and a few other bits, so it's probably all right, but more filtration is never a bad thing. So I want to mount these sockets. I'll probably put these on the back, I think. So we're going to need to conjure up something to mount those onto the rear of the set. This set is isolated, you can tell, because there's no isolator on the aerial socket, so it's a completely isolated power supply. There is a gap across the power supply between the mains side of it, reference to mains earth, and the TV set itself. So that's the way to go, really. That means you can connect stuff with ease. So yeah, I want to retain those. These sockets, probably not, these rearward facing ones, because by the time we've managed to mount our chassis back in the set, somehow, like that maybe, they're not going to be anywhere near the back. And yeah, that's going to be just awkward. So I'm going to avoid doing that. The chassis does sort of quite nicely sit on those levers though. We may just be able to get away with a bit of a mount at the front there and some hot snot, a bit of hot melt glue maybe, just to hold the thing into position. Might work quite nicely, mightn't it? Okay, right. For my next trick, let's sort out the sound. So where were those spare bits of wire from the other day that we need to connect a speaker up to? It is here. So I'm just going to meter out, I think it's these two leads here. And if that's the case, we'll just make a join there and plug the speakers in. Yeah, okie dokie. Yeah, right. So that all looks original. The main switch should now function, as long as it does. I think it did, didn't it, when we did the original video, which was now several weeks ago for me. Only 2 weeks ago for you. Right, what have we got? We want meter to ohms. And we just want to find either 4, 8 or whatever ohms this speaker is. Oh, it says 8 ohms, maximum 2 watts, 1.6 watts. So what's that reading? .62 ohms, what's that one? Yeah, there's our 8 ohms. So, oh, sod's law says it's the one I've cut off. So, yeah, the lower output, this obviously ends up going to the headphone socket because you wouldn't want to feed the whole output from your audio amp into the headphone socket. So, yeah, let's just, let's cut that off and then solder straight onto our 8 ohm connection. Oh yeah, there's a resistor in here, look, for the headphone feed. So that needs to plug into the front of the chassis. I'm going to choose that one. It is a stereo set, so I don't suppose it's got NICAM or anything, but not that we can receive NICAM. And I think that Hack TV project, I think that will generate NICAM for you, which is something else. Righto, that's in. Let's just hook the chassis back in. Here we are. I think I need to lose that arm. That arm is going to do me no favours unless I put the chassis over this side. That might make a nice little anchor point actually. And then if we just make one underneath. Oh no, it's... No, I don't like that. Or we could just anchor it in the middle like that. Oh, that's good. Well, that just fits, doesn't it? I put 2 screws in through the back thing there as it was originally. That just sort of fits. I like that. Right, okie dokie. Excuse me. Next thing, remote control receiver. Yeah. Now, the one thing I have noticed is the speaker is about that big and the speaker grill is longer than that. So maybe we can cut a bit of it out. Maybe we cut a bit of it out, make a slot, then stick it in from behind so it can just see out through the speaker grill. Let's spin the set round so we can see that sort of idea going on. Still to clean this mains lead up, it's horrible. Yeah, you see the speaker is only sort of that big, and we've got all this down here, and that would be quite a good position. Oh yeah, you can see. The paint's really good, and I don't want to drill it from the front because I'll spoil the paint. But if I drill it from behind, I may hit the grill. So it's got to be from the front, really, hasn't it? I wonder, what are our other options? We can't... We haven't got anything going on here, have we? Ah, that switch is the AFC, but it also drove a thing Panasonic had called Magic Line Green Tuning. And it put a green cast down the middle of the picture, and you tuned the picture like a magic eye until the green cast was, I think, at its minimum, which showed you were absolutely on frequency, and then switched it off, and that locked it in place. Things you remember. Right, remote. I think I need a cup of tea to think about this, so pop back in a minute and we'll have a look. I've had a cup of tea and a bit of a think, and here's what I'm going to do. I've got a drill bit, very, very fine drill bit here in electric drill. I'm just going to put a bit of heat shrink over that like that. I'm just going to shrink that down. Just onto the shaft of the drill bit. There we go. And what I hope that'll do for me is when I push the drill bit through from the front, the heat shrink will stop it from marking the paint any worse than it's already marked. And I'm going to aim to sort of drill in about here, I think. And that way I can see the hole from behind and maybe enlarge it. So I'm just going to do that. That's it, I'm through. Okay, so now I want to find a bit that is about the same size as those slots and drill back from behind. So this set will be too big or not. I don't think so. So that's about 2 millimeters. That should be a good starting place, I think. So you pop that in my drill. and just spin the set round, and I should be able to see the light coming through from the other side, I'm hoping. Yep, I can see the hole. So that's ideal. Now I just got to get my drill in there and finish the job from behind. So I know you can see that on the camera. Probably not, but there is a hole just in there. Right. Is that going to be enough? I wonder. So my board is going to go in through here and then stick on with a bit of hot melt or something behind. This is the wrong way round, really, isn't it? If that lead was on the back, I could get the board a little bit more flush. I don't know. What do you think? It'd be nice if I could get the LED in as well, wouldn't it? What we really need, of course, is some sort of light pipe or something. Let's just have a look at that from the front. Yeah, you're going to have to be quite accurate with the old infrared gun, infrared remote, to get it to work through there. Ideally, I want a bigger hole, really. I wonder if I do sacrifice it a little bit, make the hole a bit larger. Not keen on that idea, but maybe I do go to 3mm. Let's go to 3. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, we don't want it any bigger than that, that's for sure. Alrighty. So, I think this might be a job for the hot melt gun. So I've got to sort of align it up a bit. So, you can see that hole through the front. I think you can just see my finger rubbing in front of it now, look. So, there we are. I'm still thinking it might be a good idea just to reverse that lead there so it comes out the other side. Let's just remove the chassis, unplug that from the motherboard. Okay. And just take that plug out of the front and spin it round onto the back. So let's just mark pin 1 with a Sharpie. Of course, it's only a single-sided board, so it's not going to be the easiest thing to solder. But even if I turn it around and just tack it onto the back of the board, that would be an improvement, I think. Right, what am I going to need? Obviously, blue tack just to hold it down. The desoldering braid. Let's flow some leaded solder into these joints just to make it a bit easier to do. Well, that was super stubborn. I think what I'm going to do is just tack it on like that. Right. I'm super happy with that now. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. That's lovely. Right. So now the trick is to get the old hot melt gun out. And I wonder if actually I could drill another hole in for the LED. Or is that just asking for trouble? Might be asking for trouble, mightn't it, really? Yeah, I think that is asking for trouble. I think the trick is now is just to bend everything over as much as possible. Get that located about there and hot melted into place. Yep, That's the way forward. Right, I think for this, I may just want to tip the set on its front a little bit, just so I can get in there with the hot air, the hot glue gun. So yeah. Right, let's put the chassis out of the way as much as possible. Once that's warmed up in a couple of minutes, we can stick our receiver board in. Right, count to 10. Right, we've got the first signs of glue coming out of there. Let me familiarise myself with the orientation I'm gonna want here. So that's going to fit in just about like that. I might be better spinning the set round and doing it from the other side, so I've got a better view. Yeah, that gives me a much better view. Doesn't give you a much better view, does it? Let's zoom in if we can. Right, okay. So that is going to want to go in that way like that. I'm just going to snip that LED off. Can always add another one in on the back if I need to, just to get it flush to the front. So it sort of locates itself, doesn't it? Okay. Right, here we go. In with a good dob of glue. And working fairly quickly, locate my sensor over the hole, about there. And hold that until it sort of sets. Oh, that's warm. Okay, it's in position. I'm just going to stick a bit more. Oh, stick a bit more round there. Yeah, that's good. That is good. Let's unplug the gun and just wait for that a few minutes just for it to set. By the way, I found out if you squirt, I used to squirt it with freezer spray, but it does like IPA does to it and just causes it not to stick as well. So I've given up that idea. Patience is a virtue in all that, so yeah. Yeah, that's stuck firm now. So I think we plug that in and give it a bit of a test just to check everything is still okay. I think when I'm here, I'm just going to put 2 screws into the back here as well. Where's my screwdriver? Just to support that chassis. And also tell me how much back clearance I've got, because I need to get an aerial socket in there to link up to the aerial socket that exists on the back cover. I think it's probably the easiest way to go about it. So let me just insert a screw in there. There we go, that's one. That's the one without the tip on it. Got another one with a tip? Yeah, we have. That one's got no chance of biting in otherwise. I'm just going to inspect the bottom of the chassis just in case we've put a screw through a component leg or something and we end up making a short, which would be a disaster. Now we're clear on that side. That one I can't see because it's right underneath. Hang on. No, that's super clear. Okay, good. Right, I've just got this to cater for, which is our rear mounted sort of AV sockets. That's not going to be the easiest thing to do. Some of these sockets you have like, let me zoom out so you can see what on earth I'm banging on about. Yeah, some of these sockets you have like a screw hole moulded in. Then you just drill 3 holes and then a 4th hole and you just screw it to the back. We haven't got that with that. So that might be another hot snot job. But just for now, we've got that. And of course, in the first episode of this, 3 weeks ago, I cut the mains plug off. Which was perhaps a little hasty of me. So just for now, we'll drop it into the unsafe block and then refit the plug later on. Once I've cleaned this mains lead up as well, it's ripe. So what I'm really concerned about here is, what am I concerned about? We want sound, really. We need to test the sound to check we've got audio. We need to check the remote control still works, and we need to check the on-off switch works. There is another, or I'm not saying another, there is an extra 10 ohm sort of surge limiter resistor in the original power supply. So I don't think that's going to give us any problems, but you never know. But we'll leave it in circuit, and if it stops the set from degaussing, for example, which it might do, or it causes us a problem with the power supply in the set, which I don't expect it to because it will be regulated, then we may have to revisit that situation. So that's the main switch off. We want to put a pipette gen on as well, I think. Otherwise we'll have no audio. So yeah, let's just plug that in. Yeah, that's good. We want some mains on there, which we've now got. So at the moment of truth, I heard it degauss, so that's a start. Where is the little dookie remote? It came on, so the remote control is operating. We've got the wrong sound system selected. Excellent. We want PAL I. Let's put that. Deafening. Let's put that onto tone so we don't get a copyright strike. Oh, I've got ringing in my ears now. That was very loud, most unpleasant. But yeah, there we are. So jolly good. That all appears to be working brilliantly. Very pleased with that. So all that remains to do is to put the sockets on the rear, work out how we're going to do the aerial, and yeah, we'll go from there. I love the way that shuts down, by the way. It sort of dims the picture and then comes in from the sides. Really quite unique. Excellent. So that all works exactly as I want it to. Fabulous. Right, so unplug from the mains for a moment. Move that out of the way temporarily. Spin the thing round again. And see how much clearance we've got to get an aerial plug into this tuner. If not, I may have to drill a hole in the back of the cabinet for that as well. And getting that lined up is going to be a real pig. But let's get the back involved. Excuse me. The idea is, you see, we've got this isolated socket on here, so that could just plug straight in there with the appropriate adapter and what have you. So I'm just going to slide that on and see how much clearance I have. Oh, it doesn't look like I've got a lot. I'd say virtually none. Yeah, almost none. Right, that's not a problem. I will simply discard this aerial socket from here and we shall drill a hole in the back of the cabinet. Now the issue there is, of course, is where to drill the hole in the back of the cabinet. How are we going to find that out? I know exactly how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a piece of blue tack. I'm just going to stick it roughly where I think it's going to be, which I reckon is somewhere around there. Put the back on, and that should leave us an imprint of the aerial socket in the blob of blue tack I've put on the back there. And then I can take it back out, drill a hole in approximately that location, and then we'll have the aerial socket. So let's just give that a quick squish on, take it back off again. Was it successful? Oh, just about. So you can't see here, can you? I'll show you here. You can see the blob of blue tack, and it's just left the start of a witness mark in there. So yeah, what I need to do is sort of mark that up on the cabinet itself, which might be easier said than done. Oh, I know what I can use. If I get my automagical centre punch, I could just punch a hole, couldn't I? Or punch a mark in the cabinet in the centre. Come out a bit, and then we'll be good. There we are. So, that's it. Marked centre point. You're not getting a lot of that on camera, but I've got a mark. Now, I think this is when the purists need to look away, because I think I may make that hole with the nasty soldering iron bit. Dunno. It's the problem I've got. Let me show to the upper camera here. That's my mark there. And if I try and use a drill bit, I'm going to snag into this vent grill part here, which is going to wreak havoc. Going to wreak havoc with the plastic around it. I tell you what, though, it does very much look like, if I was to cut that grill out completely, I might be able to get at those AV sockets on the back and not have to worry about that third one. Oh, choices. Yeah. Let's make a mess with the hot soldering iron and go from there. First things first, I'm just going to get rid of the set itself for a moment. Yeah, so I cut my hole there, and I cut out most, if not all, of that panel there. Then I reckon that would be a good job. Right, let me switch my soldering iron off and switch over to the abusive melting plastic bit, and let battle commence. If I just put a pilot hole in there, I wonder if I do have a little go with gently with the cutter, the circle cutter. Cone cutter is the word I'm looking for. Right, let's just try it gently to start with. I just don't want to shatter it, really. Yeah, you see it's flat from that side. might be good. Let me get a cone cutter. Get my electric drill back out. Let's have a little go. It's actually made a really decent job of that. I am most pleased. So what about cutting out that piece? I mean, if I have to make an escutcheon for it or something, I can 3D print that at a later date. But this is only a workshop set, don't forget. So yeah, I reckon if we cut that out. So do I melt it or do I cut it or what? That was horrible, but serves a purpose. Let's just trim off the flash, so to speak. Not the tiniest job in the world. No, it's not awful, is it? The other thing I'm just going to go and do, because the long and suffering Mrs. Dawes is not here, is I think I'm just going to go and wash the worst of that detritus off. Right, back in a minute. Right, well, I just did a test fit of the back. It's just over there drying at the moment. And yeah, the aerial socket's a treat. These are just about usable, I think. They're a little bit more recessed. You see that on the top camera, they're pushed back in a little bit further. So, not the easiest things to get at, but like I say, it's a workshop set. And at least it's usable that way, and it does save me having to fit those other ones. So those I am going to disconnect. I'm going to put it in the bag. I'm going to put it inside with the control panel, just in case anybody ever wants them. So there we are. Right, so I've cleaned the back. The next thing to do, I think, is to clean the front and this mould-rating mains lead. So I'm going to choose a little bit of my favourite foam cleaner, Servicol Foam Cleaner 30. And yeah, we're just going to give that a squib. Just gently to start with. There you go. Right, let's just reroute that speaker wire the other side of the EHT lead. I wish I hadn't taken that off. Oh, I see what happened. It's pulled the plastic piece off the pins of the speaker lead. That's got it. There we go. I think I'm quite happy with that. Let's put the back on and watch some telly. There you have it. Excellent little pictures on our, not really a Panasonic anymore, little 13-inch TV set. Thank you very much for watching. Click like, subscribe, do all that rubbish. I'm going to settle down and watch a bit of Odge Nodge. Cheers now. Bye.